Aggies fans, we're back. We haven't talked about Texas A&M in a while. I think the media is kind of forgetting about how good this team was. 11-1. In this special segment, we're going to recap our top guys according to PFF and our own ratings when it comes to the best players this season on the Texas A&M Aggies roster. Amazing season. Hunter, thoughts on who we came up with and some of these players before we get into it?
I mean, a historic season. The program's been doing things on both sides of the ball. They've been impressive from defense, having some laps in run defense. It is what it is. Offensively, going out in this portal era and taking advantage of it and getting some guys that are ballers. And we're going to talk about them here. Before we get into it, like you mentioned, these are the top 3 graded guys that we want to talk about, but can't get into it without an honorable mention here. Someone who didn't make the list kind of based on snap count. And that's Scooby Williams. For the Texas A&M fans, what key part of the A&M defense he was supposed to play this year. Great in run stop. He's more, of your normal size linebacker guy. He takes, we've seen some teams be able to run a little bit against A&M. So the Scooby Williams edge that he brings to the linebacker position has been missed with the injuries that he's had this season. I'm sure A&M fans would love to have him back and know what he brings to the team. But before we get into the actual players, I wanted to give him an honorable mention at the linebacker position because he is highly graded in the games that he has played in this season. Now, let's get into the 3 players. And before, we talk about each one, these 2 guys need to kind of get introduced together. They got the same grade, 81.4 on the season. You got the 2 transfer wide receivers that have kind of been the cornerstone of this offense. It's Mario Craver out of the slot. You got Casey Concepcion, big-time player. Both of them, same grade. We'll be talking about the 2 of them here, starting with Mario Craver. Yak machine.
Yeah.
Yak machine for this offense.
Absolutely yak machine. I mean, I think the country got to learn about him against Notre Dame and what he brings to the table. Amazing touchdowns in that game. 825 yards in the season, 4 touchdowns, finished 5th in the SEC in yards. And right next to him, we had Casey Concepcion, who was 4th in the SEC in yards. Yeah. So, I mean, there really are, I think I was trying to find comparisons like Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce from the Rams back in the day, or TJ Houshmandzadeh and Chad Johnson. Like, these 2 guys are so talented and are major pillars on the team this season.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to pick your poison as a defense to pick on who you want to stop. And I think as you have someone like Marcel Reed, who has really grown in as a passer this year, it's been great to have guys here who are playmakers. You don't have to worry as much about, needing your quarterback to be the playmaker because you have guys like Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion. Now, they're both a little bit undersized. Mario Craver, more of that speedy, played primarily out of the slot.
Yeah.
Yards after catch has been kind of the name of his game. Between the 2 guys, 32% of Marcel Reed's total pass yards have been yards after catch from these 2. So about 1/3 of his yards have been yak from these 2 guys. Nothing to take away from Marcel Reed, but it has to do with how this team has developed a play calling plan to get these 2 in space. It's been great. Now we got to see them against Miami.
Definitely fun guys. I was worried when Noah Thomas entered the portal for this team last year with how much he brought to the team. And you bring in Casey Concepcion from NC State. You bring in Mario Craver from Mississippi State, 2 programs that have not historically had a ton of success. Casey Concepcion, 9 touchdowns this season. First team all SEC at the receiver position and at the returner position. I mean, 15.5 yards per catch. When you talk about that 32% contribution, it's not that Marcel Reed's throwing 15-yard passes. He's getting 8-yard passes and he's turning them into 15 yards.
Yeah. He's a big play machine. Like he's able to take something that maybe looks broken and turn it into a big play. He's great at catching in traffic. So even if he has a guy directly on him, he's able to take that, break that tackle and turn it into a bigger play. We've seen that plenty of times throughout this season. It's interesting when they get these 2 guys because they're really, they're opting for speed over size.
Yeah.
And that's been working great for them. Casey Concepcion, he kind of has an interesting decision to make on the future of whether he comes back or goes to the draft.
He's draft.
Leads the SEC in receiving touchdowns. He added 1 more on the ground. They're both helping out in the run game. So you think he's gone?
I think he's drafted. Yeah, I think he's right now mocked first round. I think you got to go to the draft,
Yeah.
honestly.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
there's still some room for improvement in his game. Like, I think he's a great receiver. I think he would do well in the NFL. Like, do I think he benefits from another year of college? Of course, but with like the leap that he's been able to take going from that NC State platform to this Texas A&M platform and what he could do in the playoffs, we could see like a Matt Golden Texas level spotlight. I would go to the draft, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. Take the spotlight. I mean, I don't think A&M's going anywhere for next season. We've seen kind of the schedule release here that, who they're playing next year. They have a game against Alabama, which will be a cool one to see how these guys play.
Yeah.
Looking at Mario Craver really quickly, something I wanted to bring up and what he's been able to do for this team that maybe isn't showing up on the stat sheet. We saw him get out to a hot start and then the touchdowns drop off a little bit. The best thing about having a guy like that on your team that's a dangerous weapon is it helps to set up the run. For Texas A&M, you have those multiple running backs. You have Marcel Reed who can do things with his legs as well. When you're looking at a guy out of the slot, you can man him up, but you're bringing in like a nickel corner. You're getting a little bit lighter because you need the speed. If you're going to play, you're playing your zone coverages, you might have your safety, your box safety playing on him. You might have your linebackers playing on him. They're getting them out of the run fits. It's extremely important when you have a guy like that who can impact the play calling from a defensive standpoint. And I think maybe that's not showing up on the stat sheet for Mario Craver, but it's important to see when you're looking at this Texas A&M offense as they look to run the ball, especially more in the playoffs, that you have a guy like that who's able to draw a lot of attention.
Yeah, and I mean, if you watch how Colin Klein called this offense, and I mean, the reason why he got the job back at Kansas State as a head coach, like you could tell the way they moved him around on each part of the field. They used him strategically in the run game, as you mentioned. It's a very dangerous weapon. I mean, just his contribution, like you said, is more than just what's on the stat sheet. And this team is so talented. We don't even talk about a Davey O'Brien nominated quarterback, like who's throwing him the ball. So third player, not to give it away, third player when it comes to top-rated PFF guys that we want to recognize here on the new SC podcast.
Yeah, flipping the side of the ball to the defense, we got Tari in York, 81.1. We talked about briefly. I talked about the play recognition on the other side of the ball as you look at guys fitting into run stop and things like that. No one's really better on this team at play recognition than York at how he isn't fooled by misdirection. He's finding the player who has the ball and making that tackle. He's been great at not missing tackles this year, especially when you look at the absence, like I mentioned earlier, of Scooby Williams. What Taron York has done is they've had to plug in other guys, Damian Sanford and things like that, at being that captain, being that communicator, being the leader of this defense.
Absolutely. I mean, major sacks against Auburn. I think about one of the games I watched him play, against Florida, 5 tackles, 1 fumble recovery, knack for the ball, led the team in tackles the last 2 seasons, 67 tackles this year, 84 last year. Culture guy, just an overall culture guy for the team.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see his development right now. He's kind of looking like a day 2 draft guy, is primarily, that box linebacker. He'll step down to the line occasionally to get involved in the pass rush. It'll be interesting to see how he develops into being able to step more into coverage. He keeps a lot of stuff in front of him, nothing really over his head. He brings a lot to whatever team would get him after this. But right now for A&M, it's critical as they play a team like Miami with Carson Beck, gets the ball out quick, has great weapons, to have a guy like this who, if he does step back into coverage, to keep things in front of them as they look to the playoffs.
Definitely. He very much like plays mistake-free football. Like, he's a playmaker, but he doesn't put himself in positions where he's trying to make a play and he misses. Like you said, he doesn't miss a lot of tackles. Like, I think that's what he does well. I was interested when we came up with this list. Like I said, no Marcel Reed, no Cassius Howell, right? Like, just 2 really, really talented guys. Cassius Howell's probably, like, if he can come out this year, will be a first-round guy. But what I like about PFF is they really look at how the players play in their position and grade them across multiple denominations of play, right? Pass rush, rush defense, tackle percentage, like just a lot of very in-depth stats. So I think for Torian York, he fits that bill.
Yeah, he does. And you could look at those other guys and there's so many factors that go into these grades. And this is just, more adding context around maybe why someone is graded so high. Texas A&M, a lot to play for. I mean, they're having one of their best seasons in a very, very long time. playing Miami, should they win that game in College Station, it doesn't get, too much easier from there. So, they're going to have to look to continue to build upon the things that they've had success with this season. And the offense needs to be clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, that matchup, Ohio State versus Texas A&M in Dallas, Texas, Cotton Bowl. Like I'm neutral. I might have to make a trip to Texas. That'd be a fun one to see.
It honestly, that'd be a good game. It'd be interesting to see how they can move the ball against Ohio State. It'd be also interesting to see how their run stop will play against Ohio State's. We would be previewing that game. That's what I'd be more interested to see, how Texas A&M defense plays against some of the running that Ohio State can bring in.
Yeah, with Donaldson, with Bo Jackson. I mean, it's definitely love to see that, especially how they played their last game, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on who you pull for. If you're watching this video, you probably pull for A&M. But
you've seen it. I mean, if you're an A&M fan, you know how that A&M game went, where they were able to kind of move the ball, continue to keep the chains turning on run. Something we want to see improved. It's going to be a key part of their Miami game. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. We're going to be doing a more in-depth preview of the Texas A&M Miami game, dropping that early next week. So be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that preview as it comes out. Love talking Texas A&M. I mean, it's a big season for them, and we're excited to see where they can go.
Yeah, been a super fun, one of the most fun teams in the conference. I mean, Marcel Reed's been fun, and we really appreciate all of our A&M watchers, people that have tuned in, subscribed to the channel. Like, you've shown nothing but love when we post videos. We have Drew Tamu come on as well, and we got more coming for you for the rest of the season. So once again, thank you for tuning in. I'm Randall Jr. We got Hunter Eastman. This is the New SC Podcast.